Let's make flourless, no yeast and gluten-free, no knead sourdough bread with buckwheat and quinoa groats. And don't be intimidated as there's no starter needed. Let's start by soaking raw buckwheat and quinoa groats in water. At least 4 to 6 hours is recommended, but overnight is fine as well. Definitely use white quinoa to make this bread, as red and black varieties have harder shells that would result in a too gritty batter. After soaking, use a large sieve to rinse the groats thoroughly. The water is a bit slimy, but that's totally normal. Let them drain well before proceeding. Here's a little move that I use to get rid of excess water quicker. If you want to take an extra step, you can sprout the groats before blending them into batter. This is exactly what I did here. Now transfer the drained groats into a very clean glass or ceramic bowl and add filtered water. Using a regular or an immersion blender, process until you have homogeneous batter. As I don't own a superpower blender, I find the procedure easier with my immersion blender. This is how it will look like. Be careful not to overblend it with Vitamix or your bread might end up too dense. Cover the bowl with plastic or clean kitchen cloth. I don't feel bad using the plastic here as I bought this roll from Barcelona back in 2015 and as you can see I'm still using it. Place the bowl into a warm oven. I turn mine on about 30 degrees Celsius. If your oven doesn't have this function, simply turning on the lights might work as well. Or place it onto a radiator or leave it in the sun. After 4.5 to 5 hours in a warm oven, the batter will look like this. Well risen and bubbly throughout. Remove the cover. Here's the close-up. Now let's add Himalayan salt and dried oregano. Mix it in really gently, not to disturb the batter too much. This is how slow I go. It will make a very satisfying crackling sound. And we are almost there. Carefully pour the batter into bread tin lined with parchment paper and even it out. I find that with buckwheat quinoa version there's no need for proofing before baking. Now pay attention. Put the bread into cold oven. Close the door and turn the heat onto 175 Celsius. Make sure not to use the fast heat function and not to have the grill on. Set the timer to 1 hour and 15 minutes. Take the bread out of the oven, then fold 2 sheets of kitchen paper so that you have a 4-layer paper. Lift the bread out of the tin and place it onto the paper to cool. The paper will absorb any excess moisture. Let it cool for at least 30 minutes, better an hour, before you remove the parchment paper and slice your delicious bread. Heavenly as it is, or with a bit of nut seed butter and some greens. Or make some sandwiches with avocado spread, tofu and kimchi. Stores perfectly sliced up in the freezer.